Okay. It is 6:04. I'd like to call order of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Smith, would you lead us in invocation and follow up, please?
Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day that you have given us to be able to enjoy work here in Grayson County. Thank you for all the citizens that have shown up tonight. And we pray that you will be with our Board of Supervisors tonight as they conduct business. Thank you for them and the work that they do. Being all that's done and said, for it's in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. We need to get Mr. Steve Durbin on the line and talk about the continuity of the government ordinance for Grayson County.
Are you there, Steve?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Great.
Go ahead, Steve.
Do we need to approve these?
Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you have before you is a draft ordinance that would provide for alternative meeting procedures, primarily meeting procedures, but other procedures as well in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This proposed ordinance is substantially the same as what you have previously adopted in the in response to the pandemic. And the idea would be that the ordinance is authorized under Virginia Code Section 15.2-1413. That code section provides that ordinances to provide for continuity of government can remain in effect for a period of 6 months. Because of the ongoing nature of the pandemic, it's my recommendation that you adopt this in case, really in case it's needed. It would give you the opportunity to meet without a quorum physically present, or to vary other procedures that are typically required by the Freedom of Information Act. Fortunately, right now, you're able to meet primarily in accordance with our standard procedures that we've had in place for many years under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. But you never know if you're going to have a spike of activity or a majority of the board might find it necessary at some point to participate remotely. And under our standard provisions, you must have at least a quorum of the board physically present at the main meeting location in order for members to participate remotely. This would give you an alternative procedure to that. It would also enable constituent bodies such as Planning Commission, Economic Development Authority, and regional bodies that Grayson County might be part of to also adopt alternative meeting procedures. So that's the function. You have two options if you are interested in moving forward with it. First option would be to adopt it today as an emergency ordinance. That way it would be in place if necessary for the next 60 days. Then you would schedule a public hearing to adopt it for the remainder of the 6-month period. Or you could just leave it unadopted at this time, but schedule a public hearing on it for adoption at your next regular meeting. And of course, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Hey Steve, this is John Fatt. I'm not sure I understood that last. You said we could adopt tonight and then do a public hearing, or do the public hearing and then adopt? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so the Code of Virginia permits you to adopt an emergency ordinance without a public hearing, but any ordinance adopted without a public hearing can only remain in effect for 60 days. So it would at least allow you to, if you adopted it tonight, it would allow you to keep those procedures in place pending your actual public hearing and more formal adoption process. The reason why you might consider adopting it as an emergency ordinance now is we've had 6 months period has already sort of expired from the last time the ordinance was put in place. And so you would need to re-adopt to make sure that you've got procedures in place if anyone would need to participate. Well, if a quorum would need to participate remotely, for example.
Okay, I got it. The second question is, and it may be in here and I just missed it, but if something changes, obviously this thing is in effect potentially for 6 months, but if the governor or the president or some other external agency ends their state of emergency, does that invalidate ours prior to the expiration that's on here?
Well, the ordinance is written to expire at the conclusion of the emergency or at the expiration of 6 months, whichever comes sooner.
That answered it. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I think, if I can speak, I think I understood Mr. Durbin, you to say earlier today, there's commissions and authorities and things that we serve on that will be meeting. One I know is coming up is Solid Waste Authority. If we don't adopt this as emergency, and they're going to, we already know they're going to meet remotely, then we wouldn't be able to represent Grayson County if we don't do this as an emergency before that time. Is that correct?
Yes, we'd have to be able to find some alternative way for you to participate. And one of them might be if the Solid Waste Authority were to adopt a standard remote participation policy, and you have a quorum of the Solid Waste Authority present, then you still might be able to participate remotely. But yes, in generally, it could be a problem if you want to have a remote meeting, so to accommodate social distancing or in some other way that's affected by the coronavirus outbreak. It may make it difficult if you don't have an ordinance in place. We'd have to find some other workaround.
Okay. Any more questions? For motion to approve the emergency, and then they'll give us 60 days to have a public. I hear a motion on that one.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, aye. Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll just sign off then.
See you later.
We appreciate it.
Thanks,
All right.
Steve.
Good to see everyone. Hope y'all do well.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back. If everybody's looked over the agenda and the consent agenda, I look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda's been approved. First report or presentation is Mr. Jonathan Looper. Heavy on the Mr. I'm gonna say.
Important.
You are.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here, Mr. Sheffield, Mr. Smith. Thank you all as well. I'm here this evening to call for the public to help in plastic recycling. I need their help. And in July, we reopened our plastic recycling container at the Public Works Department on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 8 to 12. There's accepting number ones and number twos, which is originally bottles and jugs. While this opening was made with a lot of enthusiasm, we still have a few issues that I need the public's help for. These issues, the The first issue is, of course, I just need bottles and jugs, and number ones and twos, bottles and jugs only. Other products are contaminants and must be sorted out and discarded, even though they are a number one or a number two. In order for us to continue recycling plastic, we have to supply our recycler with only the products that he requests. The second, I'll jump right into the second, is I have some signs ordered, and I have a sample of these signs, which will be a lot bigger, but the biggest problem is we can't accept plastic bags, no containers, which mainly are food containers, no bubble wrap, or no airbags. Airbags are packaging, the big packaging things that come with packaging. Any of these contaminants in the recycle stream will jeopardize the willingness of my recycler to continue with recycling. It's a really big deal. So all I'm asking is, please, I need the public's help for only recycle number ones and twos, bottles and jugs only. Only ones and twos, bottles and jugs.
So that's a nice sign. So I'm clear, even though it's marked a 1 or 2, if it's not a jug or a bottle, you can't take it. Even though what everybody understands is you're taking 1s and 2s.
Even though the recycling symbol has a 1 or a 2, if it's mostly food containers that have a lid,
Clamshells. Yep.
if they're a food container or anything else besides a bottle and jug, they will not accept it. They consider that a contaminant.
Okay. The other thought is, could you get Shayna or somebody to come out and actually do an article about this so that it
That
can.
would be helpful.
And then the second thing is, maybe with Carl, we don't have to break out the drone for this, all right? But if you could do some sort of a video that we post and say, hey, this is what I'm talking about. This is all we can take. So you're working the visual angle from a couple of different ways. Is that, put it on the website, YouTube channel, whatever.
I would like to get the school involved, and I've always wanted to get the school involved with some of that news stuff. That just mainly be somebody a lot prettier than I am. Right?
Just wear that mask, you'll be all
right. That's all I had. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
How big a problem though are you having? I mean, are we generally doing pretty good, or we're still over 10% contaminant, or it's 50%? I mean,
well, the first load that we took, we really policed it heavy, and of course I spent a few Saturdays there, trying to make sure it was a reasonably good load. We still dumped it out. He didn't sort through it at the time. He didn't bail it. But I still had to pull some stuff out and make a few excuses for what we had. I was there today, still digging stuff out today. So
this is kind of a change, because I mean, I was operating under 1s and 2s, and I was throwing lottie-dottie every 1 and 2 in the box.
Yeah. The general consensus is all plastic's the same, and I think I've said that before, but all plastic is not the same. There's so many different plastics, and now, right immediately, all they're wanting is 1s and 2s. Now, we're hoping that it will change. If things goes the way we would like for it to go, then we can start accepting other stuff. But right now, I really can't accept anything but 1s and 2s, and it has to be in the bottle jug form.
Okay.
In the regular time, when you take all the plastic, do they sort?
I did at one time take mixed plastic, and I actually, when the time was good, I sold it, mixed plastic, and they done the sorting. But those times have changed now. It's just not there anymore. And I don't foresee them coming back soon. This is not a short problem we're gonna have. I think it's gonna be a long, drawn out process until there's something domestic that happens that we can do something with.
The other question that comes up pretty often that we've talked about multiple times is glass. Is there any movement on that?
I haven't seen a thing. I haven't even seen any in the literature that comes in or anything about glass. There is a little bright spot for plastic, and I'm not sure, I don't want to speak out of turn, but Eastman Company in Kingsport is investing money in plastic recycling. And the group that we're keeping up with is working on it real hard with a lot of meetings. I've not seen anything happen on the ground yet. But they are involved in spending some money in plastic recycling. That would be in Kingsport.
I guess. Thanks, John.
Thank you all.
I appreciate all your hard work, John, and your team.
She took time off from bush hogging. Thank you.
Look pretty good.
It needs to be sorted plastic.
Okay. Next, we have Mr. Jeff Miller, the Glow Master.
The Glad Master.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you, sir?
Good.
I'll be keeping it contained. I wanted to pass these out to you all. We're so thrilled. Making Grayson glow. As most of y'all know, back in February, I had to order the lights for 2020. And I spent $24,000. I ordered the lights, saved us $11,640 if I ordered by the end of February. So I have a deal of $24,000 to pay. Or we or whoever, the county, the town. Luckily, I have had wonderful results with asking people for money. Dustin Snow, who owns Blue Ridge Home Health, probably all y'all know Dustin. He bought the Great Pumpkin over in Town Park. He paid for it. He's the guy who gave us the $5,000 last year for the Christmas tree. Jerry Perry donated $1,500 to us for making Grayson glow. So it is getting better. The neatest thing that we got in the mail a few weeks ago was a letter, and I wanted to give you all copies, was from a guy named Alan Strickler from Raphine, Virginia. And he wrote, "Hi, read about making Grayson glow, very cool. Excited to see it. Just bought a house in Freeze. Relocating from the Shenandoah Valley will spend the rest of my life in Grayson County. Go Blue Devils. Can't wait to see the glow." I thought that was so cool. That this man sends us a wonderful check. He doesn't know us or anything, and he just read about making Grayson glow and sent us money. We have had citizens, town and county, that have sent us checks. So this is wonderful that we are getting money coming in. We were really excited about doing the Halloween decor, and it is amazing the comments that I have gotten about the bats and the ghost and the Great Pumpkin, and it's really neat that that happened. Like I said though, it was a shock to my system when I had all my fundraisers planned for the whole year, and guess what? No fundraisers could happen. It's incredible, you all, the amount of stuff that we have been given from people that had yard sales and their leftovers from yard sales or from getting rid of parents' houses or whatever. The Gray Bills down here, they're giving us all the stuff that didn't sell in the yard sale from Lucy and Jean Gray Bills estate. One thing that we were very blessed with, we've had problems with storage because the Christmas lights are so massive, and having all this stuff, we couldn't have between one yard sale, road market. So I have got Carol's Consignments and Daylights has given me 46 boxes of stuff. I have got stuff everywhere. It's incredible. I said, if we sell everything that I have on stuff for $1 a piece, we'll make at least $5,000, $10,000. If we ever get to have anything. The one great thing about this and talking about storage, Patty Rickman, I think probably most of y'all know Patty Rickman. Patty Rickman, I just happened to ask her, she gave us the whole basement of the Napa building. You all talk about space. Now we can buy some Christmas lights and we can store them because we got tons and tons and tons of space. So we got Christmas lights there, Halloween lights there, and we got stuff there. So hopefully we're going to be able to have a big yard sale. We're thinking like 3-day event whenever we can to be able to make money for making Grayson glow. The people have really been disappointed that we haven't had those great bingos this year because they love to play bingo, but of course we can't have 6-foot distancing and all this in the BFW to be able to do bingo. And of course, more people, better. But anyway, enough said. I'd love for all of y'all to send me a nice little check for making Grayson glow in your personal accounts. That would be wonderful. We need it. Next year, it is funny that I've already got the catalog. And see, it was a 3-year project. So it's like, you know, what's coming next, but we got to get 2020 paid for before we can even think about 2021. Okay, enough about making Grayson glow. The next thing I wanted to talk to the supervisors about.
Jeff, hold on. Are you done with Grayson Glow?
No. Am I done?
No, with the Grayson Glow part.
Yes.
How much do you need? What are you short? Because assuming you're not going to be able to do the fundraisers before you got to pay your bills, how short are you?
I still need around $4,000. But people, like I said, are, you know, putting stuff in the paper and stuff are making people start to send money. The Halloween we're hoping is going to make people send money. Shannon's getting ready to do another big article for us.
So 4,000 is your ask. That's what you.
4,000 is what would really be wonderful.
Get you through this year.
Get me through this year.
Okay, got it.
To pay for
And-
2020.
Huh?
To pay for 2020.
To pay for 2020.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Next thing I just wanted to talk to y'all about, the town of Independence. I don't know how I come up with these things that give me more work to do. But anyway, it's just these little brain cramps I have. But I was thinking 2020 has been such an eventful year for Independence, Grayson County, the state of Virginia, the United States, the world. So I've got this big idea that we need to do a time capsule. So we're going to do a time capsule. The town of Independence is buying this big humongous, well, not humongous, but a big capsule that's waterproof, yada, 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 and all this kind of thing. It will be buried on the 1908 courthouse lawn on the 31st of December. My nephew, Cooper, will have a key that will be in a safe deposit box. And in 50 years, in 2070, on the 31st of December, it will be dug up. I don't guess many of us will be around to see this, but we thought this would be a wonderful thing. I'm going to bring Miss Osborne envelopes to put in your all's boxes for you all to put your memorabilia that you want to go in this. I've got the newspaper articles and stuff about school and stuff like that, but say something, Brenda, about your grandchildren and how long you've been on the supervisors or something, or pictures, memorabilia, just whatever that we can put in here. And in 50 years, they're not going to remember us anyway, but it will be kind of cool.
But Grayson will be glowing.
Grayson will be great, but, you know, so I will get those envelopes to Linda. I would like to come back and see you all in December and get your envelopes.
What about the time capsule up at the Davis Board now? Who oversees that
I have no clue anything about that one. But I did get approval, I got approval from the 1908 Foundation that we can bury it. We thought about having some big something, and then we decided probably not to have some big something because we don't want people to know. It'll just be on the property of the 1908 courthouse.
Is the historical organization involved, Grayson Historical Society?
They will be, yes. But I'm going to tell you all,
And how much money do you need for that?
nothing. If you don't send me lots of money for making Grayson glow, it won't cost you all a thing. Thank you all so much. And, oh, I did, Mr. Belton and Terry Osborne and Rick McLean, we all met yesterday, talk about making Grayson glow. We've added snowflakes. See, we've added to the collection. So we've added 12 more snowflakes. I met with Mr. Belton and the powers that be over in the lot that the town owns right across the street from the farmer's market. And we're getting electricity there so we can light that up. I guess most of y'all know about the Love Initiative for Virginia and all the counties and towns doing the love thing. Well, we're going to do the love thing and we're going to have electricity because we're going to light our love up. So, and one of the coolest things, and that was one of the neatest things.
That didn't sound really good.
That probably didn't sound right, but y'all know what I mean. Y'all know me. But anyway, one of the coolest things that's coming this Christmas was that thing that I wanted last year that was over $14,000 for one piece. But see, because we ordered early, we got the 33 1/3% off. So we've got this 20-foot piece on earth. What would you call it? Piece of, I mean, it's fabulous. It's going to be incredible. People are going to come from miles and miles around to see this piece. What? It's going to be at the courthouse lawn. And then the deer and stuff that were there last year are going to be over there where we're going to light the new spot up before the love gets here. So I think it'll be really cool and really great. This year's theme, when we were thinking about it with the parade and everything, it was Let There Be Peace on Earth. I talked to Reed today. The powers that be have not decided if we're going to do a Christmas parade or not. So I can't tell you. I wanted to tell you all yes or no tonight. I wish we could do a Christmas parade. We are still going to do the tree lighting. The tree lighting will either be the Friday night or the Saturday night after Thanksgiving. Let's pray for no rain. If y'all remember the torrential rains last year on this night, it was awful, but people still turned out. It was great. We had our singer and all this, and she's coming back. Michelle Pridgeon, the farmers market people are going to do a market on the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we're kind of hoping to coordinate and keep the farmers market people there till 5 o'clock and then do the tree lighting. So we would have folks hopefully there and people would come and do shopping from the farmers market vendors and things such as this. So, you know, not as much going on as usual, but hopefully the things that are going on are going to be fabulous. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
I better go get meds.
yes, sir.
Delvin,
Yes, sir.
obviously, you know, the Grayson Glow thing is wonderful. If we at some point give money to Grayson Glow Independent, will we also allocate funds for the other communities so that it can be a county-wide effort?
Well, we would be hoping that people from up in White Top would come down to Dallas. That would be.
On that, buddy.
I think that.
VDOT will close the road before that happens.
Well, I guess that was probably something we thought into it, was get people from Sparta and Gay likes to come look at the lights and maybe buy some gas or a pack of potato chips or something while he's in Grayson County. So, but we'll talk about that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we did do that last year. It was proportional, but, and it was used in White Top, so board decides they want to do that. We started that last year.
Got some money too.
Well, but given the current budget things, we're not, I mean, Jeff's not asking the county for public funds, he's just making a pitch for funds, right?
Yes.
Right.
And so the budget, given the constraints, we're not discussing appropriation above what we've already done in the budget for community support, right? We're not talking about doing any more public.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, did you get that, Tom?
Yes, I just want to make sure that, us aliens and White Top, have our voice heard when and if we decide to allocate money.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's my point.
Yeah,
agreed.
we got
Thank you.
4
Thank you.
districts and one ain't no better than the other. Okay.
There you go. I agree.
Now I look for a motion to go into public hearing on those amendments to Grayson County Grayson's budget of FY 2021 restricted funds.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Okay, we are in public hearing.
Okay.
Have no one signed up to speak, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Do you want to talk, Lisa, you on?
Lisa, could you, just quickly summarize?
Good evening. This is very much, you might want to call it deja vu. Back in July, we had a very similar public hearing to adjust our budget. First time ever in my tenure here with the county that we've adjusted the budget mid-year. This is due to the second round of the CARES Act funding that was received. What date it came in. But anyway, it has been received, but again, with any public monies, it cannot be spent until it's approved and appropriated by the Board of Supervisors. This money is restricted in that it is to be used only for COVID-related expenses, either to prevent, enhance social distancing, physical distancing, and so forth, very much like what we discussed in July. Same exact rules. It's just that second round of funding that's coming in from the federal government. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can.
This is the second round, same round as the first.
Yes, sir.
Are there any different parameters?
No. The guidelines change
Like,
slightly, but still it's the same set of guidelines for both sets of money.
It's a good deal. I think the first round helped a lot of people.
Yeah, we're hoping.
Second round, really.
Very excited.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Okay. Look for motion.
That's close public hearing.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh,
Make motion to close public hearing.
so much.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Thanks, Lisa.
So we are out of public hearing.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I need somebody to look at it. Next is old business, Comcast franchise agreement.
Yeah, motion to approve. I'm here to approve the minutes.
Approve amendments. Yeah, these are good. Make the motion to approve amendments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Okay. Been money. Okay, old business Comcast franchise agreement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, when we had the gentleman asked some questions of Comcast, he sent us a reply that is included in the packet. And looking for any comments or any thoughts on behalf of the board. If you don't have any other questions, what we'd be looking for is to renew the franchise agreement.
Could you, I think the response is pretty short. Would you mind just reading that
Sure.
for the record so that Shannon and everybody knows about what Comcast plan is?
This is from Andres Celadon, Manager of External Affairs at Comcast, September 16th, 2020. Mr. Shipley, I do not have the emails of the supervisors on file, so I'm sending my responses to their questions from last Thursday's meeting. The Galax store reopening is the first thing. I followed up on this, and unfortunately, the Galax location will be closing permanently due to a multitude of factors. The primary reason being that the store was not generating much revenue, as upwards of 70% of the transactions in the store were payments, and we have shifted our model to have our physical location be more of a retail store than a support center. Payments, transactions can be done online, where if the customer signs up for auto pay, they will receive a discount on their bill at any Western Union or Walmart Money Services location or via mail. Additionally, equipment returns can be done at any UPS location at no charge. The second part was Grayson County network history and expansion. The original network was constructed circa 1975 by Cable Entertainment of West Virginia, which transferred ownership to Better Entertainment in 1986, which then transferred ownership to Adelphia in 1989. Comcast took ownership 2006 when we acquired some of Adelphia's assets in 2006. Since then, we have upgraded the network to provide the Xfinity X1 video platform and residential internet speeds of up to 150 megabytes. Currently, there are no long-term plans for expansion, though we are willing to sit down with the county to explore potential build-out to known areas in need, especially as part of an application for the 2021 VATI grant.
Comments?
I'll make a motion, we approve the franchise agreement.
Motion here, second.
Second. Second.
All in favor, aye?
Uh,
Okay. Franchise agreements in force.
Thank you.
Okay, new business proclamation and Independence Fire and Rescue Squad.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a proclamation of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors in support and recognition of the Rugby Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad and Independence Volunteer Fire Department response to the hazardous materials incident of June the 12th, 2020. Whereas hazardous materials incidents create a substantial risk to the public health of the citizens of Grayson, and whereas hazardous materials incidents do substantial damage to our communities and the natural environment in which we live and work, and whereas a poorly managed hazardous materials incident creates the potential for catastrophic costs to Grayson County to manage, mitigate, and recover from, and whereas hazardous material incident responses place extraordinary demand on the leadership, training, and logistics of the volunteer public safety responders and agencies to protect Grayson County from these incidents, and whereas hazardous materials incidents of large magnitude and complexity are rare events that are difficult to plan and train for due to the large number and volume of hazardous products transported through Grayson County and the substantial network of roads and paths where they may be found. And whereas the closest specialist hazardous materials response resources available to Grayson County respond from Bristol, Virginia, and typically take at least 2 hours to respond to Grayson County. And whereas on 12th of June, 2020, A large agricultural apparatus overturned on State Route 21 near Volney, Virginia, resulting in the potential for uncontrolled release of over 300 gallons of diesel fuel and engine oil and lubrication products into a running waterway that discharges into Little Wilson Creek, and the New River. And whereas on this date, Rugby Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad, and Independence Volunteer Fire Department, and numerous other emergency response agencies and personnel responded to said incident. And whereas the fire chief of Rugby Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad established a flexible and effective plan to control the incident, coordinated his officers and the fire chief of Independence Volunteer Fire Department and his officers to implement the plan, and responded to changing conditions to keep the plan relevant. And whereas the immediate actions taken to control this incident included multiple booming operations, leak containment, and an underflow dam. Whereas the immediate actions taken were so timely and effective that the Grayson County Hazardous Materials Officer or the Virginia Department of Emergency Management Hazardous Materials Officer determined that special regional hazardous materials resources were not needed to respond. And whereas the extremely effective actions taken by the personnel of Rugby Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad and Independence Volunteer Fire Department resulted in no permanent negative impact on Grayson County waterways or property and zero financial impact on Grayson County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Grayson County Board of Supervisors hereby recognizes the extraordinary professionalism, competence, level of knowledge, and desire to serve of the members of Rugby Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad and Independence Volunteer Fire Department, and holds them up to our citizens and neighbors as an example of the quality and care of service by all of our emergency service providers in Grayson County. Adopted this is the 8th day of October 2020 in the county of Grayson, Virginia.
Shouldn't have been about 58. 16, like 16, still 21.
That what it should have been?
Yeah.
Should.
Right, 16.
Yeah. Can you make that note?
And get that changed up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like for motion to this is proclamation, and we'll do it with roll call. So.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
And Ms. Sullivan. Mr. Reynolds. And also Gotcha. Okay. Proclamation approved.
Great, thank you.
Guys, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm the chief of Rugby.
Sir, could you step with that microphone so we can catch it?
Not really. I just want to say thank you to y'all. And that this is just another example of Grayson County. What's not on there is about 20 minutes after we got on the scene of this hazmat, we were dispatched to Grayson Islands Park for a lost and hurt hiker, and Travel Fire Rescue and Mount Rogers covered that for us. We couldn't leave where we was at. Had a big problem. Like the Independence, they were tremendous help, and not to forget Mr. Paul. Is he gone? Oh, he's there. I don't know. Paul was a big help that night. I know. I don't know how long you've been on the job. Is it like you close to a year now?
But that comes from somebody that's been around up there for a long time, as you can tell, and in the county. I think Gary will probably echo that. It was good to have somebody take care of a lot of details that normally would have been the fire chief or our organization. He was a big asset to us, and as was everybody that was there. A lot of work went on. We did what we could and done in a timely manner, I guess you'd say. And there's luck involved when something goes in the creek. There's luck too. Anyway, just like to thank y'all for recognizing us, and like I say, it's a good example of the teamwork that goes out in Grayson County, all emergency services.
That's why I'm putting it on for.
Sure. What we're doing, pictures, you go stay now. Here. Okay. Now, there.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you doing that.
We will need to get those back to make the corrections.
Okay, it was just the route, I think.
You want us to, you want us to just leave them? You can take them with you, or you can leave them, but Paul will need to get them back to make the corrections on the date and the right. No. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the new business resolution, request from town freeze.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read the resolution to request resource assistance from Grayson County from the town of Freeze. Whereas the town of Freeze desires to maintain not only an adequate but exemplary township for its residents, and whereas the town of Freeze desires and needs to maintain its infrastructure and facilities, and whereas the town of Freeze is currently without a town manager or grant writer and is unable to fund these positions at this time, and whereas the town of Freeze has a current budget that is inadequate to fund the numerous infrastructure repairs without grant funding, and whereas the town of Freeze is a vital part of Grayson County and has much to offer in recreational opportunities for tourists, town residents, and county citizens, and now therefore be it resolved by the council of the town of Freeze, Virginia, to formally request assistance from the Grayson County Board of Supervisors in seeking funding and for project management and services for the evaluation and repairs needed to update the town's infrastructure and facilities. The town of Freeze is not looking for direct financial support from Grayson County, but to create a working partnership with the county to improve the quality of life for its citizens and create economic opportunities that will benefit the town as well as the county. The town of Freeze acknowledges that control of this process in whatever form it eventually takes would need to reside with county administration. Duly adopted by the council of the town of Freeze, Virginia, at a regular monthly meeting held on 10/6/2020, at which meeting a quorum was present. Witness the following signature and seals: Richard Farmer, the mayor; Jill Hill, clerk, treasurer.
Right. A motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye? I'm gonna do a resolution. Let's do it. Roll call, Ms. Reynolds. Okay. So.
Aye.
And also aye. The resolution passed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Farmer and I talked about the next step, what a possible next step could be. And we want to recommend to the board that committee of folks sit together and just begin the discussions. I think Mr. Farmer recommended Jill Hill and Steve Clark and himself to be representatives from trees, and certainly open to whatever the board would recommend. But off the top of my head, I was thinking Mitch, myself, Deb Jones, our grant writer, and Mike Cash, representative here. I'm basically asking you if that is, if we're okay to have a committee.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Next, I have a resolution, enterprise zone.
Yes, let me read you this resolution, and Mr. Smith is prepared to give you some details if you need some further explanation. Resolution for the enterprise zone amendment. Whereas Carroll County, Grayson County, and the city of Galax have a designated enterprise zone identified as Zone 27 that provides a combination of state and local incentives to promote economic development. And whereas the city of Galax has a designated zone identified as Enterprise Zone 27C, and whereas the city of Galax has identified a current need to amend the existing Enterprise Zone 27C to incorporate additional properties in and around the city of Galax and to increase economic growth opportunities. And whereas this proposed amendment and expansion will serve to benefit economic and industrial expansion of the joint Enterprise Zone 27 and assist the city of Galax to meet the goals and objectives of the Virginia Enterprise Zone program. Then therefore be it hereby resolved that the Grayson County Board of Supervisors supports the amendment to the joint Zone 27 and specifically Zone 27C, and authorizes the county administrator to sign all necessary documentation on necessary on behalf of the Grayson County for this proposed enterprise zone amendment. Adopted this 8th day of October 2020 in the county of Grayson, Virginia.
Okay. With the motion to place the resolution.
So moved. Second.
Second. Roll call on this, Mr. Levels.
Aye.
Ms. Sullivan. Pat.
Aye.
And also, resolution passed. Okay. County administrator's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have several things I'd like to catch the board up on. First is that we are going into the process of getting the $120,000 that's been designated for the small business community, the small business community that the board authorized to take care of the additional applicants that met the guidelines. We've gone through the process and we're ready to write those checks and coming from the EDA. So thank you. That's the first thing I want to tell you. Wanted to tell you too that as of today, we have the smallest number of active COVID-19 cases we've had since the process, since this whole pandemic has started. We have 6 active cases in the county. But we also need to be very cautious that we can't ease up. You know, there's an expectation that there might be a surge starting at the end of October into November and December. So it's not a time to relax the social distancing, but it is relatively good news if there's good news in this whole pandemic situation. Coming off that, I've got some very good news I want to share with you. And this was primarily due to the work of Lisa Gayhart and Deb Jones, our contracted grant person, who's also helping us with identifying opportunities for the CARES money. Because our trash collection has exceeded 20%, it's at 26%, it's averaged 20% in the years past of, I guess it's 20% of what particular component, Mitch? The 20% level is 20% of,
20% of what we normally have
okay,
in trash block.
so it has increased. It increased significantly during the coronavirus. And it increased significantly enough that we became eligible to use CARES money to buy a new trash truck. So our plan with the CARES money, with part of the CARES money, is to, and we need a new trash truck desperately. We have some trash trucks one that has over 3 million miles. And all the others have over 1 million, right? Is that right, Mitch? Or close to 1 million?
Wow.
So we can use CARES money, $240,000 would get us a new trash truck. And we're eligible to do that through the CARES Act. And we're recommending that we go that route.
Last month, we approved buying trash truck out of our CIP, right? Since we now have that money, can we buy two? I mean, we already authorized one because we need it. It's obvious from his explanation last month that we need it.
Yeah.
You've now found a way to buy a second one.
Right. That's a good question.
Could we not do that? It seemed like it would, if it makes sense financially to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, the 20% deal and that allowing you to buy a trash truck
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a great idea.
versus buying more based on that
Yeah,
volume.
well, he's talking about, see, oh,
But it was already approved before.
Yeah, did you hear, we're already approved for one, Tom?
I did.
Okay.
That's why I was saying, buying a second one would make a lot of sense, given the number of miles that were reported on the other vehicles that we have.
Okay.
If it didn't meet the criteria, we should have.
yeah,
Now, I'm not talking about more CARES Act money. We authorized emergency spending for a truck last month, had nothing to do with CARES. I'm saying, let's go ahead and do that with that money. But now we have another option to buy a second vehicle with CARES money because of this percentage increase. That's what I'm suggesting. Does that make sense?
And that's what I will agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just making sure we're all on the same sheet of music.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
that's good. So that was good news to get. That was part of that, a little bit of the loosening up of the regulations in the second batch of the CARES Act money. Got some additional good news to share with you. In our arrangement we have with Tri-Area Community Health to establish their presence in the grant community, they indicated to us that they have now hired a nurse practitioner who's going to be placed in that location. Her name is Jane Sage, and she has a great background. We're excited about the speed at which this whole initiative is coming together. We're providing, as you know, the board may remember, we were providing $50,000 of support to get them up and running, and it's happening at a pretty quick rate. So I'm very pleased about that.
Has there been a press release or anything related to that announcement that this project's going?
There hasn't been.
We'd have to get us, know when the time is right, when they call,
Yeah,
to put it in the paper.
but we will check it out.
I mean, it seems like if it's close to coming to fruition, we ought to start building a little buzz up there in that community. That's a good news story for the Western End.
Sure.
And so, if we could do something like that to get it out there, that'd be.
Okay.
You agree, Tom?
Yeah, Bill, I would suggest that we also do something through the Grange organization in the grant community, as well as the library in White Top. Because we don't get newspapers in the West End. So, working through the library in White Top would be a great thing to do. And also, we probably should make absolutely sure that all the EMS and fire people organizations get an official announcement of that in the West End.
We'll do it.
Thanks, Bill.
Sure thing. So Tracy Cornett, our tourism director, successfully received a grant to put up a billboard advertising the great things of Grayson County. And so we're looking at locations for putting that advertisement out, and that should be in the next few months here.
And that, related to that though, you know, a while back, we talked about welcome signs at all the different places, some have them, some don't. I don't know if she's made much progress, it may have gotten lost in the transition.
Didn't we get, go ahead, do you have something?
Not for you.
Oh.
I know it's on her plate, but I think her plate's pretty full right now, maybe on the back
So it
burner.
seems like a good tie-in, but okay.
Yeah, it does, and
It's there. I'm just not sure we're on the priority list.
we are working, Tracy and Tom and myself and others are working closely with Virginia Tech on the Mount Rogers School project. That's become something that's gotten a lot of focus from our group, and we think we can move that one along fairly quickly. And Virginia Tech's been a great partner to us on helping to focus our energies on getting something done there that the people of Grayson County and the western part of the county in particular can be proud of. Is there anything you want to add to that, Tom?
Yeah, Bill, I'd like to say how much I appreciate Tracy's effort. Tracy Cornett. We assigned her to work on that project, and she's done an excellent job. And I'm really excited about the involvement of Virginia Tech and the students that they selected to work with us on a design plan. I think it could be a great advancement in tourism for the county.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate Tracy's efforts, and yours as well, Bill.
Oh, absolutely, and yours too. You've been such a great champion for the western part of the county that we're looking forward to getting something going there. Supervisor Fan, would you mind giving just a quick update on what's happening in broadband?
I'll try. I'm an analog guy living in a digital world, but okay. So right now, as y'all know, the county's broadband project is broken down into 4 phases. Phase 1 is a fixed base wireless project that's geographically oriented, kind of the Briar Patch, Hines Branch, Spring Valley area, Summerfield community, so to speak. And that project is being funded by $150,000 of tobacco commission money. That project is on the cusp of kicking off within the next couple of weeks. We think GigaBeam will install some equipment up on Point Lookout along with some other towers in and around that area. The good news about the equipment he's using is that the electrons don't really care where, lines on a map. And so we may be able to pull in more people onto this wireless connection earlier than they might be able to get it from a fiber bill. But this is happening pretty quickly because Appalachian Power, as we heard at our recent broadband meeting, is going to begin replacing poles throughout the county in the month of November. They've already identified them. They know which ones they need to go in and replace them so that they can begin their fiber project on or about the 1st of December. That first fiber bill will go from Whitfield Independence to connect 2 points of presence on that broadband or on that fiber network. And then they'll begin to expand. Right now, the plan is starting in Elk Creek, heading through Comer's Rock up to Flat Ridge, and then begin to work its way up to White Top and then on around through the southern part of the county. probably take 18 months, we're thinking, for the APCO to do their piece, but as they're building, Gigabeam, which will have finished phase 1, will begin doing phase 2, as APCO is ready for them to connect fiber to the home for those folks. So pretty exciting that we're almost we're on the cusp of kicking off this thing on the actual construction piece, given all the amount of planning and time that a lot of folks from the county and around the state have invested into this effort. So we're cautiously optimistic that we're getting ready to change Grayson County for the better.
Thank you, Supervisor Grant. It is a super exciting time, and it will be revolutionary for our county when we get this all in place. We continue to place a major emphasis on the development of the Baywood Technical School. And what we're doing right now is we're seeking out a contracted project manager to work with us there to help pull all the pieces together and move that project forward so that we can start to make it into a tangible entity that will have the ability to serve the people of this region and to grow the whole high-tech education component that we're all excited about getting into place.
Can I add something?
You sure can.
And thank you. And Mike Henry was brought by the bill today, and he was all excited. He used to go to school there when he was younger, and he said those floors look as good as when he was there, and that's several years ago. But he said if everybody gets a chance, they ought to go by and see it. He said I think he'll be happy with the way the floor turned out.
The last piece of what I wanted to talk to you about is about the EDA. There are new challenges that Grayson County, or new opportunities, let me put it this way, new opportunities that Grayson County has that are before us right this minute and are developing, and some are in the process of actually occurring. It's very important that the EDA be reflective of the expertise and emphasis on those areas that we really need in Grayson County right now. The EDA has basically been mothballed for a couple of years, and we need it now to step forward and play a major role. The members of the EDA have done everything that we've asked them to do. It's not this, what I'm going to announce has nothing to do with the members of the EDA that are on there currently, but when we had our last EDA meeting, I talked to them about the expertise that I need on the EDA. And what I need is healthcare background, high-tech background, broadband, tourism, finance, senior advocacy, and small business recruitment and development. What I asked them to do was for each one of them to resign their position and to let me know if they want to reapply and which of these areas that they feel that they offer expertise or particular interest in pursuing as we reconstitute the EDA. I checked with our lawyer, Steve Durbin, to make sure we're legally allowed to do this, and we are. Again, the members can reapply, and if they have a particular area that they think they can really add to the mix, then that would be great. I would like to ask, I'd like to ask the public and the board if there's anybody that has particular interest in being on the EDA and has a background in any of those 7 areas. Please let me know or let your local board member know, and they'll pass it on to us, and I'll bring it back to the board for board approval. But we're going to do this pretty quickly because we need the EDA to start acting in response to the opportunities that are before us right now. So that is let me see if I'm doing the EDA piece. So I think that was it. The last thing I want to say is that I honor my dad who passed away a couple of weeks ago. And that's it. He was my hero. Thank you.
Done. Mr. Speaker. Okay. This is the sheriff.
I'm here actually for Wanda, because she's on vacation. And for the attorneys and the surveyors that I've talked to about the Grayson County GIS stuff. So I'm gonna read what Wanda had. She said, while doing the 2020 census, I relied on the web GIS for information on some of the properties that I had to visit to see where they were located and the ownership. Map numbers are incorrect on so many properties, along with the ownership. This has been a problem for quite some time. While working at Mr. Brooks' office, I saw firsthand how many properties were wrong, and at that time asked Reese Fitz about how it was fixed. He explained it is outsourced to somewhere else, and it could be months before you can get it fixed. So, when talking with the attorneys, I know with my title insurance company, I will have, I will get a commitment done, and the lender will say, we have to hold up because property addresses are not matching tax map numbers, so, then it takes months to get it fixed, so you've got people waiting to close on a house over getting the tax map number and that kind of stuff. So, just talking with these people, we're wondering, is there a way we can get this done more in-house in Grayson County? Can we make this a job for someone here instead of sending it to Whitfield? I think is where it goes to, for all the GIS stuff to get put in. It is kind of a hassle and the boundaries aren't right, so just want to bring this. I mean, when you talk to Larry's office, they're very nice and they'll do what they can, but it'd be nice to go online and have it all done. And with the way properties changing hands nowadays, sometimes we're 3 owners behind before we can ever get it caught up. So that's our thing, like I said, talking with people is there a chance for a job employment opportunity for someone or maybe more than one? I'm not sure what it would take here in Grayson to be able to keep this here. So that's our thing. Thanks.
Any questions?
Go ahead.
I agree with you completely. And I just wanted to let you all know that there was an opportunity to bring somebody on board part-time to assist us. And in order to make sure it was clear what that person would do, I reached out to anybody that was in this building basically that could use additional help in the GIS area and asked them to submit to me what they would use that GIS person for. Larry Bolt had great need for it. Pete Hall did. Jada, of course, did. Carl did. What you're saying is absolutely true. And we were going to move forward towards bringing that person in part-time, and they took another job in another part of Southwest Virginia. The need is there, though. There's a strong need for it. I think, I don't know if we could justify a full-time position. We are in a hiring freeze. But if we could find someone that could do this part-time, we could start out with it part-time on contract. And we could start to get this situation under control because it is exactly the way she just described it.
Several years ago, I think it was about the time Mike and I came on the board, Elaine Holton was doing a lot of work of maintaining the GIS, and it was contracted out, I think, to the Lane Group is who did. Who?
Urban Profit.
Urban Profit.
Uh-huh.
But that was 4 years ago.
And they still help us, but we still are contracted, they help us some, but to have the maintenance.
Well, and that's the piece.
Yeah.
We got to solve the problem first, and then there's the sustainment piece.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a lot of heavy lifting to solve the problem and get everything straight. But then there's the piece of the maintenance.
Yeah.
And so I guess we need to I would like to understand what the process is and what we think a couple options are to solve it. Probably the sustainment piece is probably just a part-time job. But the initial piece to get the database straight is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And that probably does smell like a contractor to come in here and solve the problem.
Yeah.
But I think we need to scope it out, and
Okay.
if we could, my thought is if we could have a plan, a recommendation next month, then we could take some action.
Be glad to do that. That sounds like a good.
If that's just my thoughts. I don't know what other board members think, but.
I do know Carroll County is pretty good, and Grayson County is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So might check to see how they come across theirs.
Well, that's like,
I was thinking
well,
City of Alex, I think, they have one, he may have went right now, but most of the counties do,
They have a full-time or a part-time, somebody.
full-time, yeah, they did.
the Carroll County person that worked full-time there, the person that did GIS for them full-time in Carroll County, who did such an excellent job, they eliminated that position, and that's the person we were trying to bring on board. You're right, Carroll County does do a great job of it, or did do a great job of it, and hopefully they will in the future.
We absolutely need to solve it.
Yeah.
Forward, because as this broadband thing comes on, it's just more and more stuff is gonna happen online.
Absolutely.
And, you know, even the records in the clerk's office, a lot of that should be digitized. I mean, all this, there almost, in a way, should be a holistic effort towards moving Grayson County in a more digital arena direction. But absolutely, the first thing is the GIS needs to get straight.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for Wanda for sending you.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I'll tell her you said that.
I do.
And I'll tell her I agree.
Okay, that was all the registered speakers from board supervisors' time. I've heard of none. Next, I look for a motion to go into closed session. Discussions of prospective business, it would be 2.2-3711 of A5 and of A6 of investment funds and A7 of litigation or other legal matters. That would motion to go into closed session.
So,
Second.
And all in favor, aye.
second.
We are. Looking for certification, Mr. Rebels. We didn't talk.
Certified.
Okay. Yes.
Also certified.
Also certified.
I so certified.
And also certified. Okay, we are out of closed session. I have a question that was brought up that I'd like to talk about. And it's school activities. They were informed that they couldn't do. Recreation director said school cannot do any kind of flag football, whatever is coming up in the fall. And the interpretation was that we are not allowed them to do anything since we shut down the baseball. So they're wanting to go back to flag football. I don't know what else will be going on this fall, but I guess basketball.
Who's they? The school?
School, the recreation director.
Told the school we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because they're not. The HSL has told them, you can't play sports. So.
Yeah, but I don't understand this thought process. I mean, he's a rec department, it's outdoors, there's a lot of things that can be done at the rec park that meets all the safety precautions while still developing kids and keeping them active. But yet, I mean, we ran into this already, doing stuff for the county citizens, and then he was doing travel ball, we shut down travel ball, now he's shut down everything. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Okay, in his defense, how do you do flag football when kids are touching each other? How's that no contact? How's that social distancing?
I'm not making an argument
Helmets.
for flag football. I'm
Okay.
making an argument for activities that can be done safely. Could be instrumental, it could be instructional leagues, it
Okay.
could be,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of things. Baseball's pretty non-contact sport. I mean, there's a lot of things he could be doing except saying no. And right now, he's saying no. That's what I just heard. That's what I do either. So then why the hell are we paying him?
Well, they're still.
Who's they?
They just have got done doing the pool activities. The picnic shelters are still open for activity. They've been plenty of activity there. The pool just has shut down a few weeks ago. It continued because we weren't able to open under the governor's guidelines. You could open with 5 capacity on the swimming pools. But as far as contact sports, which is what we're in now, how do you do it? He'd love to open back up.
He's defining, or the school's defining, that they want to play a contact sport or something like it. We don't have to do that, but we should do something
Yeah.
for the children. We should develop, he's the director, he should develop programs within the guidelines that he can offer to the citizens of the county. School wants football because school's crazy on football. They're missing the football in the stands, and now they want to do football out here. Okay, great. We're not going to do football. We're going to do something else. But he should develop a program of what is eligible. But right now, what I've heard, no. And it's been no since the spring. And the people that we appointed to that advisory committee say the same thing. And they only meet once a quarter. I'm not sure why. But I just don't understand his approach to recreation.
And I hadn't heard that. Had you? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard
We're
any.
only meeting once a quarter.
No, I mean,
Jimmy told me that.
yeah, once a quarter, but I hadn't heard that they're saying, what's their ideas? I've not heard of one. I've not heard of one of them say anything about they have ideas. If they are, why aren't they bringing them?
They brought them to the park director. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what the bylaws say.
Okay, I didn't hear, I've not heard that, so I need to ask him, because I've not heard that they're bringing ideas to him, because he's not bringing them to us.
In fairness, I say they, it's John Alexander, I know has brought several ideas, because he's actually went to different counties and talked to different park directors and seen what they're doing.
To actually have programs to do out here.
Yeah,
We brought that
A
together.
lot.
Then that's great. We need it.
Well, that's why we created that organization. But I don't get a sense of how he's earning his paycheck, frankly. I think it's you or anybody, I just don't see it.
And I know he has been doing things and they're still doing some things. But if those voices are giving him ideas and he's not bringing them to us, then I will say, Kevin, why did I hear in a board meeting that your members are bringing that the supervisors brought to you? They're bringing you ideas and you've not said a thing about, can we do this?
Well, I mean, he is a director, so I would hope that he wouldn't have to get approval from administration to go do things. But as long as they're within the parameters that you all have already set out, that's the thing that sent up the Red Star cluster. Is he was bringing in all these travel teams when we were under a restriction.
And in all fairness to him, he followed governor's guidelines. He got our coordinator pre-approve, post-approve, and during the ball playing approved. 3 times he went out. He saw nothing wrong.
He didn't get the public opinion approval. That's what he didn't get. And that's the thing. You know, we shut down the county programs, but we brought in all these other programs. And I get it. He's generating revenue or whatever. He loves baseball, happens to be travel ball, whatever. I just think that there needs to be an emphasis on what can we do to facilitate recreation in the county.
Okay, I agree.
That's, the school wants to play football, but it may not be possible.
I don't think that is possible, but I get what you're saying. What can they do?
Well, a lot of, areas are doing fall baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not contact.
Cornhole, badminton, croquet,
Okay,
Tennis. I mean,
in
we just rebuilt
baseball,
those
I
courts.
know, in baseball, I know that, and I'm just throwing this out there. I know there was, concern about parents with their kids, the coach giving them instruction, the hind catcher being so close to the batter, the base runner being so close to the first batter. That's some of the things that there was concern about. You know, how do you do that? That's not social distancing. How do you play even baseball safely?
By changing the rules. You don't have to have a catcher sitting right behind the whole plate. You can put, I mean, there's just a lot of ways to mitigate. It takes some creative thinking.
Yeah.
If you limit yourself to how we did things in February, you're never gonna get there.
Yeah.
It's gotta have a different approach. And John Alexander is one. I'm sure the
And
other folks
that's
on
great.
the thing, he's
But
got ideas of what they could do.
I still don't know how you play baseball. If you got a runner on first base and you got the first baseman there, that's, how you play it ain't different.
Put two different bases separate apart. I mean, there's,
Yeah.
you change the
Yeah.
rules. You
Yeah.
can't play attention. Anyway, we're not gonna solve the problem.
Yeah,
He just needs a plan.
but point well taken that what can we do? And if John Alexander, who's a good man, I know him, I think a lot of him, if he's giving him ideas, then why aren't we doing it? My question will be to Kevin, why aren't we implementing some of those and doing it? So if we can definitely check that out.
Sure.
I'm just passing on what I'm hearing. I know there's probably some evil feelings between maybe the school and the recreation, but I don't know. But the word that got back to me was the board of supervisors said no. And that's the reason they're not doing it. And I know we didn't say no. So that needs to be cleared up, you know. We didn't say that. The only thing we said no to is bringing in people from out of town to do travel ball.
I think he got overly cautious when that happened, and he kind of got his hands mad. I think he said, you know, then he really started looking with a critical look. How do you do this? I know he said, how do you do this without, you know, which I can't play flag football because it's got helmets and you got coaches and you got people wearing the same equipment. You know,
I
so
mean, he's welcome to come here and ask us without going to somebody else. They said no. I mean,
I agree.
but he's the director.
Hey, I'm glad this came up and we'll get on.
that was one question. Now, the next is a comment. We're having a ribbon cutting at my barn. Did you get a flyer on it? Next Thursday. Trying to get my order. 15th, next Thursday. Ribbon cutting, we'll have a few snacks and try and get the board on the planning commission, city council, chamber of commerce. Just come to the barn and just.
What time?
5 o'clock.
I have a library board meeting that day, but I'll try to make it. Should be over by 5. Is your beer involved?
5 to 7. Well,
He's having a kegger. Hey, Tom, he's having a kegger at his barn.
it's supposed to be Saturday.
I'll be there.
What's the address?
It is 638 Old Baywood Road.
Cool.
And then we're having an open house on that next Sunday for people to sign up. Anyway, that's the end of that. That's all I heard.
Called an open barn. Having an open barn.
Is it called something in particular?
Is it what?
Is the building called, named something like?
It's called Legacy Creek.
Cool.
Because it goes back to my dad, my grandparents, the Revis family, and so my son wanted to have a catchy name, so he calls it Legacy Creek.
We got a logo and all that?
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Got it.
anything else for the good? Look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Be careful going home, Tom.
Well, yep. I'll walk from this room to the next.
How you feeling, Tom?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I feel fine.
No symptoms?
Thanks, no, none whatsoever so far.
Good.
Good night, Tom.
All right.
Good night.
Have a good one. Thank you.